Welcome to the Power Up Podcast. I'm your host, Trevor Scullion. Join me for some powerful conversations with members of the Substation Design Solutions Industry Consortium, the SDSIC. I'll chat with members about the consortium, innovations, how they're implementing different technologies, even some of the projects they're working on to address the growing needs of our power grid. My guest today is Michael Goins. Michael's a senior project engineer at Power Engineers, and 10 years ago, Michael was the very first elected SDSIC chair. During that time, he was instrumental in setting up the foundation that helps drive the success we enjoy today. Hey, thanks a lot for joining me today, Michael.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Dude, so good to have you on. It's been a long time coming. I've been trying to nail you down, but you're a busy man.
I know, got lots of balls in the air with family and work as everybody else does. So yeah, thanks for your patience there.
No kidding. Really, I appreciate you doing this, man. So, this podcast is for the community and really getting folks to learn about some other members and try to introduce some people. And you were one of the first ones that I thought of, but it took weeks to nail you down. So, but just start maybe, let's talk about your career, your background, and we'll start with that and kind of how you ended up at Power Engineers today.
Yeah. I kind of in my second career, so to speak, but I'm a civil engineer by trade. I designed bridges for transportation projects for years, and I was in project development there for a while. I designed a bridge in 3D. We were using it for training purposes and that type of thing, which caught the eye of a utility manager. So I was hired at what was then Progress Energy to lead their BIM implementation effort years and years ago. And then we were acquired by Duke Energy, where I met Arnold Fry and worked with the Duke Energy team for over 10 years. And that's where I met you and David Milks and others, at Autodesk. So then I left Duke for Autodesk, leading implementations for multiple utilities. My stint there, and then we were divested to Spatial Business Systems, and then on to Power Engineers, working with Arnold and team once again. So that's a very quick career synopsis of kind of where I've been and where I am now. So,
yeah, no, that's great. And it's funny because you and I were working together, obviously with Arnold and his team at Duke, and then you went to Autodesk, and then Autodesk acquired my stuff, and I ended up at Autodesk with you again. So we did a full circle. It's kind of a lesson for the younger people out there: never burn a bridge because you'll end up working with the people again.
That's exactly right. Yep, you have to. We were road warriors there for quite a while. So,
man,
it's good working together, and you sort of form that nucleus of expertise within your industry and all your connections, and you want to keep those.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I really, really enjoyed our time together. Every time that we were on the road, it's always long, slogging through the hours at the airport and everything. But man, it was always fun hanging out with you and doing a lot of work, but having a good time doing it.
Likewise, absolutely.
All right, man. So let's talk about how you first got roped in to the SDSIC. You were the very first chairperson elected. It was a small group, but I could tell you, man, that the charter work that you did early on really set the stage for the success we have today.
Yeah. What a story that was. We Duke Energy at the time. We'd been meeting a few times with other utilities and just kind of benchmarking what we could do with automation and automated design. Mm-hmm. And about that same time, Duke Energy was implementing an automated design system. And we had 5 different offices, and each one of those offices had over 100 years of history. So they really liked their way of doing things, which, most utilities are over 100 years, and they've been doing things a certain way for a long time. So we had to find a way. My group that I was working with at Duke was an enterprise group. So we were setting the design tool standards, workflows, processes for all of the 5 offices. So we had some infrastructure set up to be able to get people to join together, communicate their differences as well as the things that they do very similar. So really what I did was I took a look at that and kind of utilized that blueprint for setting up the SDSIC. We thought it was, really good to, engage other utilities, other folks that were in the industry in a more formal way.
Hmm.
So along with David Milk's help, we decided to form the SDSIC.
Right.
And we wrote the bylaws, the charter, the operating guidelines, set up the infrastructure so that we could then operate as, an entity and sort of, iterate our way through innovations as they would come forward with technology companies. At first, it was all just utility driven and utility
Hmm.
participation other than technology, and then it was opened up to consulting firms as well. So that's really how it got started, from just an idea of benchmarking to a more formal organization.
Yeah, awesome. And I remember setting it up, some of those decisions on the charter and, some of the bylaws and everything, including even the website that we had decided. And I remember
Mhm.
with David and Arnold and yourself, and we wanted to keep it, out of kind of a larger vendor control, I guess. So
Right,
that decision was absolutely critical, I think, to have it where it is today because it was always volunteers, and it still
right,
is, right? So all those late nights we were kind of keeping a website up for the community, and early on, right? It was like Bob Stoves. I remember Sandra
right,
from
right,
Nashville Electric, right? I remember, and you were helping us test things and trying to get that thing running. And that was, a critical piece because it really allowed us to stay as a nonprofit, voluntary, in control by all the folks that are in the leadership.
right. And you have to have that. The website definitely is key because it's what was the communication medium for all of the folks that were there. I mean, you only meet face to face once. Well, at first it was twice a year,
Right.
but that medium to be able to talk back and forth, have regular meetings, stay in contact with one another, it kept moving the needle forward. So the website was key, and just the whole organization and infrastructure was key in keeping it afloat. You got to have contingency plans because folks
Mm.
get busy with projects, they get promoted, they leave. You got to have that pipeline so it can continue to move forward. And we tried to think through every possible scenario and try to, make sure that it stayed afloat and stayed that standard that it has stayed for 10 years.
Yeah. Well, and you think, the official meeting in Nashville to kind of kick this off 10 years ago was, I think it's 22 people, right? I have the agenda in an email.
Right.
I mean, I don't think any of us really would have thought, the membership on that same website now, even though it's gone through iterations, we're at, yeah, I think it's 1,790 something members today.
It's crazy. It's absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think back, and that kind of goes into how I was elected as a chairperson. Our first order of business back then was to set up infrastructure and to basically find a meeting place for the first conference, which
Yeah.
happened to be Nashville Electric.
Yeah.
And that's where we just had we set everything up and we had a vote. And we voted in all of the chairs, the vice chairs, all the contingency plans. We adopted the charter, the operating guidelines, all of that stuff. And as you say, it just grew from just a handful of folks to what it is today. And
Yeah.
as you know, and Audrey knows, and Jeremy and John, all of the chairpersons who plan for the SDSIC, it is a job. It is almost like a second job. But I was really glad to do it. It was something that really helped push the industry forward because I think that's what needs to stay at the forefront is what will help our industry move forward to help each other since we're not in such a competitive environment.
Yeah, that's great. And I mean, you should be very proud of what you did. it was very early on, and you took it very serious. You didn't mess around. The charter, the bylaws, everything has been voted on and modified or added to, but that core was critical and to get where we're at now. And yeah, so I think the with 300 people in Nashville, we can't just reserve a table at Rippy's like we did the for the first one.
That's right. That's right. Has to be more of a planned out effort for sure.
Yeah, a lot of planning, a lot of planning, and it's been awesome. I'll just say, working with Power this year for the 10th anniversary. It's so big, and Nashville is super booked all the time. But boy, it's been great working with the Power team trying to pull this one together.
Yeah, great, great. Yeah, we look forward to being there, hosting, and turning it into a really good event for all of the attendees for sure.
Yeah. So listen, as the man that wrote the first charter for the SDSIC, what would you want to see it, the impact in the industry with the SDSIC? What would you like to see happening?
Well, I think to continue along the SDSIC, remaining a conduit of information to all the members.
Mm,
I see that as very critical. Our if you think about it, our industry has other conferences, they have other platforms to network, to gather information. There's all sorts of other conferences, IEEE, SEE,
hmm
where folks can gather knowledge about subjects pertaining to their work and what they do every day.
Right.
And why not our design tools and our workflows and information? That's the very lifeblood of what we produce. So
hmm
it only makes sense that we have a conference dedicated for that, making sure information gets out to all the members, and a general place that folks can come and communicate with each other, benchmark what each other is doing, and help each other out. So that's kind of the way I see it.
Yeah, that's great. And it has been brought up before. And, we've been trying to ensure that the members understand, just showing up and doing a show and tell on a project that you did. It doesn't need to be specific to an industry solution. It doesn't have to be, expertise in one of the softwares or the workflows, but just showing what you did and how you did it and how you went through the process is valuable for everyone.
Absolutely, 100%. Every presentation that I sit in, I gather something from every single one of them.
Right.
It as you say, it doesn't have to be a fully baked out solution, because not all solutions fit within the workflow of your particular, utility at times.
hmm
But just sharing what you do and sharing how you got to where you are, it's highly valuable.
Yeah, that's great. And so what other advice would you have for some of the members? I like to ask the veterans this question because we've been 10 years of these things, the new folks that we had a lot of new folks coming in, I think, in Nashville.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. As you know, and everybody knows, we're facing really big challenges, transitioning from what's always been done to where we're going, and keeping up with technology, especially, like change management. That's a really big area, very
Mm,
complex subjects that take really, diving into those details, diving into the complexity. Um, as you know, it often provides opportunities for discouragement, because there's nobody wants to change what they're doing, resistance to change, lack of investment, all those things. But those are mostly people issues.
right.
um, my advice would be, don't let that discourage you.
Mm,
Keep digging, keep trying to look at where is technology heading, what can be done to help your organization in the industry. Sometimes you have to look at it from a perspective of Rome wasn't really built in a day, and
mm,
neither are new systems put in place in a day. It takes
right.
time, but if you hang with it, you might just find yourself to be an industry leader, a trusted advisor, a chairman of a committee, and make a career out of it. Because I look back and I'm like, never in my any of my imagination did I ever think that some of the topics that we were tackling back then, they're still relevant today. And here we are.
Mm,
When I first started Progress Energy, I mean, now we're 15 years ago, and we're still still at it. You can
Right.
make an entire career out of trying to find solutions for some of our challenging problems that are ahead of us. So that would be my advice: is take a look at the hard things and dive in.
Yeah. Awesome advice. Yeah, and I think that's it's been a pretty common theme. I think with all the veterans of the SDSIC like yourself. I mean, everyone said, there's no bad ideas. Everyone's workflow is different. Bring them out. Even the monthly calls. Just join the call. Feel free to speak up. Just ask a question, talk about some workflows. Present something. Maybe just
Hmm.
present 15 minutes. Open your screen, show a project or something. Just yeah, don't be shy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's great, man. So yeah, I appreciate that, dude. That's 10 years of the SDSIC speaking. So that's, there's not too many that have been that long. So, yeah, that was great. So what are you up to these days at Power, man? What's your new objectives like?
Yeah. So, I spent years and years working with utilities, at software companies, helping to transition them to BIM primarily for, construction activities.
Hmm.
I've had a vision, as you've had, and many others, for what could be done well beyond, making the models, producing drawings. But, the industry really wasn't ready, and
Hmm.
technology wasn't really ready for the most part, for what we were trying to do, and the vision that we had.
Hmm.
Now with AI, other technology, it's ushered in the age of digital twin.
Right.
And that's pretty much what I'm kind of focusing on at the moment, the whole ecosystem, not just design.
Yeah.
There's just lots of things out there. Can I get a digital twin that can serve operations and maintenance workflows and yet still be used in true brownfield design?
Hmm.
Can I use it as an as-built to start the next project, or on that next station? What
Hmm.
about assets in the station? I mean, there's all sorts of things that we can tackle. Utilities, they all always need very accurate records of what's in their stations. Think of it in terms of, our climate that we seem to be having issues with. If a catastrophic storm's hit,
Hmm.
do I know what I have out there? Can I use a digital twin to its capabilities,
Yeah.
to be able to understand and data mine exactly what's out there, to restore it to order quicker
Hmm.
and more efficiently and more effectively.
Right.
So it's just looking at digital twin. That's one of the things I've been doing. Innovation is another. With all the technology, it seems like AI has ushered in lots of technology that you have to kind of see, is it going to be a good fit? Is it not? But you have to have your hands in it, and you have to understand the ins and the outs of it to see, is it going to be a viable solution for what you need. So that's an
Hmm.
active role that I also am trying to fill at the moment.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, and you think like the mix of AI and machine learning with digital twin, like you think of all the predictive analytics for
Hmm.
maintenance and all, if you could just, circumvent any breaker blowing up or something melting out on you just with the analytics that come in ahead of time, just trying to predict some of that maintenance would be a hell of a step.
Right. I mean, you think about it, we've had that with our automobiles for years. I have a light that comes
Right.
on that says, hey, your oil is needs changing.
Right.
And so, following that guideline helps me extend the life of my engine.
Right.
Well, why not on a fleet of equipment that's at a utility? Why not do the same thing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a long time ago we went from the idiot light in the car that basically came
Right,
on when you're out of oil.
right, exactly.
And then it said, how many miles till you need to change? Well, that's a good improvement. Yeah.
Right, that's right, right.
That's awesome, man. So, you and I have slogged through a lot of projects. This stuff is not easy, right? These are, as you said, change management, the work itself. It's very intense trying to come up with intelligent design. And you and I had traveled pretty much North America trying to work through some projects, and you were kind of hard to tire you out. You were, you you were always, you were always enthusiastic. You sat through some meetings that, very, very tough to get through. And, what would you say motivates you the most well, now the work you're doing now?
Yeah, I think you're trying to strike a balance of technological innovations and what actually is implementable.
Mm.
That's a new word. Is
Yeah.
That's sort of a sweet spot
Yeah.
that motivates me. But you have to have that idea in technology first, right? You
Hmm.
have to have an idea, and then marrying that idea to use cases, that's a whole nother subject.
Mm.
Technology is ever changing, it's evolving for
Yeah.
better or for worse depending on who you ask. And we have heard the gamut when we go out to our utilities. Some folks are embrace change, some of them not so much, and all are very valuable opinions on it, because you have to be open to technology, but technology for technology's sake is also can be quicksand as well. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
finding what can actually be implemented is very valuable and a key to change.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm motivated in helping find those workflows and technologies, helping customers manage change through that.
Mm.
As a part of that, I mentioned digital twins earlier. That's going to provide, I think, better opportunities for more accurate and efficient design and
Hmm.
decision making, from design all the way through maintenance and operations.
Yeah.
Um, so I think the balance of using digital twins as well as technology in all areas of design and operations and maintenance is going to be key in the decision making moving forward. So that's what kind of motivates me, is just keeping an eye on that technology as well as applying it to workflows and what we're doing as an industry.
So implementability. That's
Right. That's right.
boy, if we could have figured that out 15 years ago, we would have been all right.
That's right.
Yeah, great points, man. It's so true that, I've never seen a time that it's a full-time job to keep up with the technology that's coming
Hmm.
out. And it's a great value to add to all the customers out there. And that, we folks like you and me and Arnold, Jeremy, Sean Weekly, like we're doing this full time. Like we're searching for tools, we're doing the R&D, we're following up on the technology. It's exhausting.
Yes. Right.
But at least, like you said, if you can find things that are implementable, then you can go to your customers and talk about them and show them and, kind of get them excited as well. But yeah, that's great, man. So that I
Yeah.
was going to ask you what excites you most, but think I can tell. So, so that's really the AI and digital twin, all that kind of cool stuff that you're getting to do today.
Yeah. 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 I think we're right in the middle of a changing of the guard, so to speak.
Hmm.
We're hearing from our customers, regarding difficulty in staffing with all the technological change that's happening, just lots of, issues. And we have a lot of, experienced people in their mid to late career stage, have a wealth of knowledge, along with
Hmm.
less experienced people that are very technology savvy. And those are, of course, they're generalizations. One doesn't preclude, the other. But seeing that knowledge transferred and captured, as well as fostered by the less experienced people over
Hmm.
the upcoming decades, it's exciting to witness that and be a part of it. I think it's a true tip of the cap to the veterans of the industry who build our system,
Hmm.
as well as the ones that are responsible for transitioning to the new system. So it's a very exciting time to be a part of all of this. And of course, there's lots of work ahead of us for sure.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding. I talk to folks that friends of mine that aren't in the industry, and they ask me how it's going and, how's the power industry? And I say, well, you keep plugging things in, we'll be fine. You keep,
Right. Right.
I can think of 10 devices I didn't have 20 years ago that have to plug in now that,
That's exactly right.
you know. So what can you, can you talk about any kind of future plans or anything going on?
Yeah, as far as future plans for me, it's just seeing the overall plan through, which
Hmm.
I think that's my future. Matching those technology with workflows. I don't think that's ever gonna go out of style or not be needed.
No.
Um, it's not going to go away anytime soon.
Nope.
I enjoy my work. I enjoy my work at Power and the folks I work with. You know, um, I've had this vision for years to help our industry with this transition. So anything that can help propel our industry forward, I'm definitely, for. Um, as you know, it's not for the faint of heart, for those with thin skin,
Yeah.
so to speak. You get a lot of bumps and bruises anytime that you deal with change,
Hmm.
but the industry needs it,
Right.
and somebody has to do it.
Right.
Otherwise, the industry gets left behind. I mentioned before I had a whole career. Seems like in the transportation industry before I ever came over to that to the utility industry, and they've been in this BIM world, a digital twin world, for years, and they've
Hmm.
been using it. So we want to make sure from a technology perspective, we don't get left behind because, if we have our technology providers all going in that direction and our industry is not, that's not a good scenario to be in either.
Right.
So that's my future plans. It's just continue on with trying to match that technology with workflows in a responsible and implementable way.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's not going out of style anytime soon. It's just,
Right.
I think it's just ramping up even more than it was even 5, 10 years ago. I think it's just increasing every 6 months. It's getting more and more intense to do the work you're doing.
Right. I agree. I agree. And we're seeing it. I mean, we're seeing it wholeheartedly with our customers for sure.
Yeah, I'm just gonna order some T-shirts here for Nashville implementability. That's
That's right. Do I need to trademark that?
yeah. We put a question mark on the end, maybe that would be like,
Right.
got milk.
Uh,
So, anything else you want to chat about, man, before we close out?
yeah, yeah. I mean, one of the things, and you could probably do a whole another podcast on this or several maybe, but I'm curious your take, being one who keeps up with the technology. Where do you think technology is going, particularly with AI and machine learning and things
Hmm.
like Chat GPT?
Yeah.
Where are places that this might be used in our industry?
Oh man, yeah, I appreciate that. I think, yeah, I've been doing machine learning and lots of the open AI. The back end company, it has a API behind the Chat GPT that we can access for development, right? So it's kind of a lot of things you just mentioned, dude. I think a bad analogy for this industry, but it's the perfect storm. You know, we
Right, right,
like you just mentioned, we have all this talent that's going to retire, all this knowledge, and there's just not enough, young folks coming in to pick up the steam. So being able to leverage AI for that is absolutely incredible, and it's sort of the perfect timing to start doing that now. And
hmm
I think we got to do it while we have access to all that talent, all the veterans that are going to retire for real. Maybe the baby boomers the first time around, maybe they retired, but they came back at a new rate. And now,
right,
now
right,
the
yeah,
second time, no, I'm actually going to go now.
right.
Yeah,
hmm
we can't let them leave before we capture a lot of that knowledge. And what I see with AI and definitely the kind of natural language processing piece of that, like ChatGPT, being able to use the documentation and train those systems is an absolute opportunity that we could take advantage of right now. And dude, I'll be so bold as to say I truly believe that the future of software interfaces is that NLP,
hmm
natural language processing. You can see it with ChatGPT. You're having a conversation, you're just kind of chatting and tweaking. Why couldn't you do that with
hmm
engineering rules and refine the question and refine what you want as you go? I mean, it's so
Right,
much better, dude. All the stuff you and I had to do with all the picks and clicks and trying to train people. And, it's complicated to build a
right.
3D model of a substation, of a building, of a bridge, right? I mean, it's tough. You spend so much time wrestling with the software.
Right,
Why
right.
not teach the machine how to use the software and just chat with the machine?
That's true. That's very, very true. Yeah, yeah, it seems to be a potential paradigm shift with this technology for sure moving forward.
Yeah, it's so true. I feel like, and I'm an old technology guy. So when when people first realized they could sell on the internet, it kind of changed everything.
Hmm.
Over a couple of weeks, everything, and then, digitizing music and movies and all the piracy and everything. That's how I feel with ChatGPT. When you're older aunts and mother, your mom starts talking to you. Have you tried this ChatGPT? Like that, what, AI is all of a sudden mainstream.
Hmm.
That's how I felt. The internet early on, all of us geeks could access it, and we could change files and things. But once the whole .com boom hit and it became this e-commerce, it kind of changed everything in every industry.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
kind of how I feel with ChatGPT right now, right? Like it's just going to change everything. It's already started.
I could see it. I mean, as soon as I started hearing about it, I'm like, yeah. What kind of workflows is that going to change?
Yeah. Yeah. I saw that it hit like the top 10% on the bar exams already, right? Like you think, it's
Right.
like,
Right.
whoa, it's incredible. And I just think that, the tech behind it, that the natural language processing and large language models, right? That is something that we should all be exploring in our industry. I think there's a lot to be done there.
Yeah, I could really see where, it just removes barriers, right? You don't have to have that necessarily that specialized coder. You could have a whole lot of folks that are, just conversationally building and making things, utilizing this technology. So it could be an influx of a lot of different things.
Yeah, we're starting to see it, right? I saw some examples on Blender, the open source 3D modeler.
Hmm.
Someone was running Python code, having that kind of chat, and it was generating 3D models in the background.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and you think, there it is.
Right, right. Yeah, that's, yeah, very, it just kind of gets your mind really thinking. And like I say, it could probably be a whole nother podcast on just this one topic, probably several.
Yeah, let's do that. Actually, yeah, let's. I'll reach out after this, man. We'll get some folks lined up, and we should do a podcast on that for sure. I think it'd probably take an hour and a half.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah, sounds good. I'd love to be a part of that for sure.
All right, cool. We'll line it up.
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining me, dude. I'm really glad we were able to get this nailed down.
Hey, thanks again for the invitation. I really appreciate this and really look forward to the consortium coming up in a few weeks and being there. I can't believe it's been 10 years.
Mm.
Time just really flies, um, really, really flies. And I look forward to seeing everybody else there.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, for all the members out there, if you see Michael Goins at the conference, look for his badge and can kind of thank him for the early, foundation of all of this. So make sure to buy him a beer or something in Nashville and ask him about implementability.
That's right. That's right.
Thanks a lot, Michael.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Power Up Podcast today. If you enjoyed this conversation and you're not yet a member of the SDSIC, join for free at sdsconsortium.com. Be part of the community and all these great conversations. And maybe you'll be the next guest on the Power Up Podcast.